Welcome to my diary, love. Today we're going to continue our conversation on looting. I said it. I told y'all when I saw they were doing organized raids in Italy when they weren't having enough food, when people started getting really desperate, they couldn't pay for rent, they weren't getting enough like aid, just there weren't jobs. It just was crazy. People started organizing raids on the supermarket, and I had a feeling we were going to start seeing looting here as well. But because America, we don't have as many tight knit communities, I figured we were going to see something like this, where either there will be some kind of event will occur and people will just take advantage of it. So this is protests, shootings, maybe even a large gathering somewhere distracting from another part of town. I just believe this is just something we're going to keep seeing because people are getting to the point where they're desperate and because there's just no help. And also, the few people who have been able to go back to work have, in large numbers, been noting that they are getting paid less and that they have reduced hours. So they're just not making enough. But then because they're working, they can't get unemployment. They can't get any kind of aid. They don't qualify for this, qualify for that. So people are just taking massive pay cuts. And I think we're going to start seeing desperation from the lowest class that is right above homelessness. And also the homeless, I think, we have a large homeless population in America. So I do think they will start reacting as well. But we're going to start seeing the lower class really start being desperate. And I think we're also really going to see the middle class start to really, as they get strained, as they feel more desperate, because we're seeing a lot of middle class get flipping out about like masks. I do think we're going to start seeing them flipping out about food and joining the looting, and they're going to, somebody out there is going to be like, oh, it's because like Chicago was doing it. Now everybody thinks they can do it. In reality, I think what we're just seeing is the poorest people of society, and overwhelmingly, that's people of color in the United States. That's Black, Indigenous, and then Latino in the United States, browner skinned people in the United States. And so, yeah, those poor people are often in cities, and they're walking by these stores every day that they can't afford food in, and they've got hungry kids, y'all. I saw an article the other day about like the royal trope in relatable royal trope, and in it somebody was like wax this huge long poetic about how Marie Antoinette, she didn't really spend as much as like people say, like, and I do think that she gets a lot of flack and probably gets a lot more blame than she deserves compared to her husband who's actually running the country. But at the same time, people expect you to have all this sympathy for like royals. Oh, they go through so much and they have to struggle and they just doing what their parents did. But it's like, meanwhile, on the streets of France, kids were starving, parents were starving, people had nothing. It was just time. They needed to change. And so, yes, heads rolled. And I do think that actually might end up happening here if things don't get controlled. But I do think if more looting occurs, if this society just keeps breaking down in microcosms all over the country, we're just going to see, hopefully, we're going to see the politicians step up. Otherwise, it's just going to keep cracking and breaking down. And the solution, in my opinion, is not to over police the poor. People who are stealing from, the store are looking for something to sell, looking for something to have, looking for food, looking for, whatever to get some cash because they have bills to pay. They don't want to lose their car. They don't want to lose this, that, and the third. They don't see any other options available for themselves. Yeah, we're just gonna see more and more of this, y'all. I don't even know. It's getting scary out here. It's getting scary, and it's really wild that we don't have anybody stepping up to make sure that people have something so that they don't get this stressed and desperate. And they're meanwhile they just are like, oh, they're just lazy, they're just this and that. Like, y'all, even if someone gets a job today, what are they gonna do for the next 2 weeks while they wait for a paycheck, the first paycheck? You know what I'm saying? There's just, what if you don't have a car? You can't do Uber. You can't do all these delivery things. What if you have like an autoimmune disease? And what if you went back to your job and they're making you start from the bottom for whatever fucking reason that these jobs are doing that for? It's just getting really wild out here, and there's just no leadership. There's nobody stepping up. There's nothing occurring. And so my prediction is that, again, there's going to be looting. There's going to be a lot more looting. And I don't know if their grand plan is going to be to just police people. I think it will get to the point where if people are desperate enough, like, you won't be able to police it. It's just going to start breaking down. And it's like, is this really the end? But meanwhile, Israel got their cut, but there's not enough money for us for healthcare and coronavirus relief. I don't even know what to say, y'all. But I'm not surprised about the looting. I don't know. Are you surprised? Are you in any way surprised about looting in Chicago, mass looting, people taking advantage? I'm not. I'm just not. I called it months and months ago. I saw it coming, and for whatever reason, our politicians either can't see it coming or don't care. Just simply do not care. I don't know. Thank you so much for watching. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads, and I'll see you next time.